Hello, welcome to Heritage Homestead. My name is Natalie, and today I want to show you how I pressure can my green beans for the winter. Our children absolutely love gardening, and I'm very grateful for their help. Of course, I wouldn't have all of these gardens if I didn't have a lot of them to feed either. So I probably would be downsizing if I had one or two kids. But because they love it and they love canned green beans, we go ahead and plant several raised beds for specifically for green beans. So I'll be showing some clips of our garden and how we like to pick them all at one time as a family, and how I bring them into the house. We wash them, we snap them, and get them into the canner. I get several questions about my canner, and I wanted to mention that my pressure canner is an All-American, and I highly, highly recommend that brand. As we gather green beans through the summer, we mostly do it together. It just makes it a lot more enjoyable to do things together rather than by yourself. I love hearing all of those cicadas. It really means that the harvest is coming in midsummer, and it just reminds me of a lot of heat, so that is important for gardens. Thank you. So you want to make sure that your green beans are plenty long before you pick them. They really store wonderfully in quart jars, and if I plant plenty of beds full of beans, then we can pick all summer long. I kind of stagger it out a little bit, so I plant 2 or 3 beds at one time, and then I wait about 3 or 4 weeks and I plant a few more beds.
No, not right now.
That way the first harvest has plenty of time to grow and die out before the second harvest is ready. That method that I use for staggering gardens usually provides us over 100 quarts of beans for the winter months. He is so proud of his long green bean. He really thinks that he got the longest bean this year, so that's so cute. All of those leftover stems and roots that will be left over after the green beans start to die out later in the end of summer, closer to the end of August, I will go ahead and compost those to get ready for the fall crops. The goal of canning a year's worth of food really is worth it to me. It's a huge commitment and an undertaking, but I am definitely willing to put in the hard work for that. When my kids were really little and I had babies strapped to me, I just kept my gardens really simple. I kept them a little smaller. I didn't overcomplicate what I was doing so that I was able to can and preserve what was coming in from the harvest.
It is.
It has become such a joy every spring, and I look forward to gardening with these guys.
Wow.
They're just the sweetest. Now, they're not perfect, but it really is a lot of fun being a mom and teaching your children. When you hand them a seed, they direct sow it right into the garden. There's something about their little eyes that when they light up and they get so excited to see the fruit that comes from working hard.
Those two and this one, they seem like the biggest one.
Maybe.
Okay, it looks like we're about to wrap up in the garden here and take all of what we picked today. And we're going to start with washing and snapping, which is his favorite job. To save time, we usually have an assembly line, A couple wash, a couple snap beans, a few will raw pack for me. I usually am in the house like preparing jars and hot water, and I'm in and out of the house trying to at least direct and monitor what's going on outside. Once I have about 7 jars full, I can start putting a load in the canner while we continue to clean, snap, and raw pack. Before I forget, you want to go ahead and make sure to check all of your jars for chips or cracks. What you're seeing me here do is raw packing them as tight as I can get them in the jars. They do shrink a little during the cooking process, so go ahead and make sure that you are filling those jars as full as you can. After I'm finished pouring hot water over the beans, I wipe the top of the jar off to make sure it's clean. I place a lid and a ring on. I tighten that as tight as I can with my hand, and then they're ready for the canner.
Go ahead and turn it. Go ahead and turn it tight.
Again, you're always going to see my children somewhere in the videos because they are literally constantly in the kitchen with me, helping and trying to do their part. I allow them to do those things because this is how they learn, and I also love the company. I just truly love teaching them what this process looks like. Again, here I am packing tightly in those jars a lot of green beans because when I serve them at supper, I want to make sure that I've got as many green beans in that jar as possible. You can see how hot this makes a kitchen, and when it is 100 degrees outside, typically I will pressure can outside or I will water bath outside too. It just depends all on the temperature and what's going on that day. You'll also notice that sometimes I do reuse my lids, and I didn't always do that, but I have felt a little more comfortable over the years with reusing lids as long as they are not nicked or damaged in any way. Here you see me loading another round of green beans, and I do put 2 or 3 inches of water in the bottom, and that is pretty standard for all pressure canning. Now I'm tightening the lid down and getting ready to turn on the propane.
All right, this has been releasing for about 5 minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and put the rocker on. And where I live, I'm going to put it on 15. Just do it just like that. Okay, and as you can tell, it's building pressure after I put the rocker on. And once that starts rocking anywhere between 2 and 4 rocks per minute, that's how I gauge it, I'm ready to start my 1.5-hour timer.
My 1.5-hour timer is up, and now it's time to turn the propane off. I will wait till my pressure gauge goes to 0, and then I will take my rocker off. This step is really important as you don't want to break any of your jars. Your rocker will be hot, so make sure you have a towel or something to protect your fingers from being burned. Here I'm just gently unscrewing the lid so that I can take the lid off. I like to leave my jars rest in the pressure canner for about an hour or so before I remove them. It's pretty common to still see the boiling process happen within your jars even after they've been sitting in your pressure canner for quite some time. That little pop on top of the jars that you just heard, that is music to a canning lady's ears.
So I'm going to leave them outside for the rest of the afternoon, and they should set up quite nicely, and I will return in the morning to make sure everything is sealed.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.